I'm in Paris and stroll into a cafe craving a latte. The barista, in a crisp uniform, focuses intently on the espresso machine with zero chit-chat. I flash a huge smile and say, "Bonjour," expecting a friendly hello. Nothing. She simply asks, "Espresso," without even looking up. No hello, how are you? No small talk or eye contact. My American brain did a double take. Was I being ignored? In New York, baristas usually grin and ask about my day before even frothing milk. I was starting to wonder if I'd committed a social faux pas by being overly friendly. My friend later explained that this quiet professionalism was normal. It's just polite and efficient service here. I eventually got used to this quiet courtesy, and to be honest, I prefer it over forced chatter. In my experience, the French way was just different, not rude.
I'm standing in line at a Munich bakery, craving a pretzel. I watch the people ahead of me chat and joke, so I smile and say, "Beautiful day, isn't it?" to the older man in front. He stares at me silently, eyes fixed on his pastry selection. I immediately feel I said the wrong thing. In America, people usually respond with a quick yes or small talk while waiting, so I was confused. The man simply nods slightly and turns away, focusing back on choosing his pastry. Did I just offend someone by being friendly? I chuckle under my breath, feeling my cheeks burn from embarrassment. A German woman next to me finally whispers, "In queues here, people prefer quiet. He wasn't ignoring you, he's just thinking." I learned that lesson fast. Waiting in line in Germany is a quiet business, not a chatty break.
I'm wandering through a busy London market, eyeing fresh fruit stands. I catch a vendor's eye and say cheerfully, "Beautiful day, isn't it?" She glances up, gives a slight smile, and says softly, "Quite lovely," then back to her oranges. My American brain kind of froze. That was it. Was I cut off or something? In New York, people would keep chatting or smile more. Here, not so much. I feel a little embarrassed. Was I really being too chatty? The vendor gives a very slight grin and continues slicing fruit. No more chatter. A local friend later told me, "They aren't rude. British vendors just focus on work and treat silence like respect." I learned quick. It wasn't personal, just politely neutral. In my experience, a bit of silence can still be warm.
I'm staying with a Swedish family in Stockholm, sitting down for dinner. Dinner starts and everyone munches quietly. In the US, dinner is usually loud and full of chatter, so I tried to kick off a conversation. I ask about their day. They answer with short, thoughtful sentences and continue eating. I drop another question. They respond with calm courtesy and silence. After a minute, I feel like the third wheel. Am I being too loud? I catch myself whispering even my jokes. A family friend finally notices my nerves and chuckles. "Don't worry, silence is golden here. Swedes just think deeply together." I relax and realize they simply enjoy listening. By dessert, the table is filled with gentle laughter. In my experience, that polite quiet wasn't cold. It was comfort in Swedish style.
I'm in Zurich browsing a boutique when I strike up a conversation with the sales clerk. After complimenting the watch selection, I expect at least a smile. He nods, says, "Please let me know if you have any questions," and that's it. I wait. He stands patiently by the counter, arms behind his back. I say thanks after a bit. He just replies, "You're welcome." No grin, no extra words. My American instincts flash. Did I somehow annoy him? In my experience, store clerks usually chat a bit. A friend later explains Swiss workers stick to facts and service. They don't add chit-chat unless needed. At first it felt a bit cold, but I realize it's neutral politeness. No fuss, just professionalism. I even appreciate it. No small talk means more peace to shop.
It's midday in Seville, and I wander the empty streets looking for lunch. The area feels eerie. Restaurants are closed, shutters down, not a soul around. I joke to myself, "Come on, Spain," expecting someone to yell back. I feel a bit silly as I talk to the silent buildings. Finally, a local woman passing by explains, "We close for siesta." She smiles kindly. My American self laughs, feeling sheepish. In the US, many eateries serve lunch all day, so this quiet felt strange at first. I sit on a bench and soon others join, sipping coffee in the plaza, taking an afternoon break. By dinner time, the streets buzz again, and I'm totally sold on the siesta routine. In my experience, that midday quiet wasn't rude, just their rhythm of rest.
I'm cruising through Amsterdam on a canal tour, enjoying the view. When I ask the boat crew a question about the next stop, one of them glances back and replies, "Next stop is Rijksmuseum." Then he goes back to steering. I pause and think, was that it? No smiling, no extra info? It felt a bit abrupt. My American instincts say to keep talking, maybe ask a follow-up. But he doesn't add anything and the boat carries on. In the US, people would probably chat or crack a joke. Here, the Dutch tend to be very straightforward and quick. I laugh quietly and relax. Eventually, I ask more questions to get details. In my experience, this simple style is all about efficiency. Once I realized that, it didn't feel rude, just matter-of-fact Dutch kindness.
I'm at a grocery store in Krakow, waiting in line behind an elderly man. The cashier scans his items calmly, barely glancing up. After he pays, she says quietly, "Next, please." I step forward and hand over my things. She checks out my groceries in silence. I say, "Dziękuję," thank you, when she finishes. She simply smiles slightly and says, "Proszę," then folds her hands and waits for the next customer. My face must have turned bright red. Was that it? Did I come off too eager? A friend later laughs and tells me Polish cashiers are usually this professional. They just do the job and move on. I even end up smiling too. In my experience, their efficiency was polite, not rude. By the end of it, I admit I was a bit envious of the speedy checkout.
I'm sitting on a crowded bus in Copenhagen, waving at a gentleman across from me. He gives a quick nod and returns to his phone. I try again, asking him about the landmarks we pass. He answers in one-word replies and stays quiet. My American side panics. Am I interrupting something? Was he annoyed at me? A young Dane next to me smiles and whispers, "They're just shy with strangers. Don't worry." I gradually relax. In fact, the silence becomes surprisingly peaceful. As I step off, the man even gives me a small smile. Maybe he appreciated I tried. In my experience, Danish quietness is respect, not rudeness.
I'm riding the Helsinki metro, earphones in, watching the snowy city go by. At a station, a Helsinki local taps my shoulder and asks if this train goes to the airport. I answer in English, and he says, "No, change at the next stop." And that's it. He walks away without another word. I blurt out, "Thank you, have a great day," out of habit. He raises an eyebrow politely, but doesn't respond. My cheeks warm. In American-style service, he might have said, "You too," or offered a smile. But in Finland, that straightforward answer was totally normal. I shrug and smile myself, realizing no offense was meant. In my experience, Finns answer firmly and move on. It just means business, not disdain.
I'm at a late-night Oslo bookstore browsing philosophy books. I strike up a conversation about a novel with the cashier while checking out. I expect him to recommend something new. Instead, he glances over the top of his glasses and says in a calm voice, "No thank you." I freeze. Did he just turn down my conversation? He hands me the bag without further chit-chat and starts restocking books. My American ego flares. Did I offend him? A Norwegian customer behind me quietly smiles and whispers, "He's just focused on work, not rejecting you." I nod, embarrassed. Lesson learned. In Norway, less chat means respect for your time. It took me a moment, but I realized he was being neutral, not snobby.
I'm enjoying tapas in a Barcelona cafe when I try to join a chatty table next to mine. I overhear their English and say, "Mind if I sit?" They smile and nod, continuing their conversation. I introduce myself, expecting to fit in. They respond with polite yes-no, but then fall silent again. I stumble on my stories, talking mostly to myself. Finally one says, "Oh, thanks," to a waiter. Then, "We're just not used to strangers joining." My American nervous laugh. Right, sorry. I back off. Later I learn that many Spaniards treat small talk with strangers as a bit private. It's not rude, just a different vibe. In my experience, it was a gentle hint to keep to my table, not an act of hostility.
I'm in a quaint Dublin bookstore hunting for novels. The owner greets me quietly, but then goes on polishing an old music player. I ask about an author. Do you recommend Roisin? She smiles, rubs her hands together, and says, maybe for later. Then she gestures to a stack on the counter, as if to say, over there. We both step back. Did I mispronounce something? I give a thumbs up and step aside. After paying, I say, thanks a million. She murmurs, no problem, and resumes cleaning. My friend explains the next day. The shop owner was being unhurried and polite. In Ireland, being calm and avoiding rush is common. I guess I expected lots of cheer, but actually she was perfectly friendly. In my experience, neutral politeness can just mean take your time, not coldness.
I land in Rome, feeling jet-lagged, hopping on a city bus toward the Colosseum. The bus driver slides me a card and says, Director. I nod and plop into a seat. 20 minutes later, I shout, Grazie, as I get off. He gives a quick prego and keeps his focus ahead. I pause. That was it. No nod, no you're welcome from him. I feel a ping of disappointment. Next bus ride, I ask in Italian, Buongiorno, when boarding. He grunts sì without turning. My American brain quietly freaks out. Do they not appreciate greetings? It turns out Italians often don't reply to greetings with strangers on the street. My local friend laughs. Bus drivers have long days. They'll mind their manners in tone, not by chatting. By my last day, I only say ciao to my seatmate. Anything more felt polite but not expected. In my experience, their neutral response was just part of the routine, not a rejection.
I'm staying in Lisbon and have just ordered a huge plate of pastéis de nata, custard tarts, at a cafe. As I thank the waiter, he rolls his eyes skyward, pauses, and then mutters, no problem. I wince inside. Did I say it wrong? I say obrigado again, and he smiles ironically before walking away. Oops. I later discover that in Portugal, people often shrug or use neutral phrases casually, not meaning to be dismissive. He wasn't genuinely annoyed, he was just switching tasks quickly. Next time, I learned to appreciate the eye roll with a laugh. In my experience, small gestures are easy to misread. Here, his no problem, delivered in a moment's eye flip, was just a mildly impatient confirmation, not a scowl at me.
I'm roaming around a tiny Finnish village and stop at a local cafe. I try to chat with the barista. These cinnamon rolls smell amazing. My country doesn't have these. She tilts her head politely and says thanks in a very small voice. Then she quietly writes down my coffee order without a smile. I feel my heart sink. Is she upset? She hands me my change with a polite kiitos, thanks, and a nod, then turns away. It hits me. Maybe I shouldn't have tried to bond with a stranger over dessert. Outside, I shrug and realize she was just being calm and private. Typical Finnish reserve. In my experience, her neutral vibe was just her style of being efficient. I learned that sometimes a polite thanks is the Finnish high five.
I'm in Athens at a taverna ordering dinner. I strike up a joke with the waiter, expecting to get him smiling. He listens, grunts softly, and sets down our drinks. No laughter, just a raised eyebrow. My second beer falls silent on the table. Did I bomb? A friend slips me an elbow. It's just the quiet Greek charm. Not everyone laughs every time. I nod, feeling sheepish. We all concentrate on the food now. By dessert, even the waiter has started chatting with others, relaxed. It turns out he warms up in time. Greeks are friendly, just not always instantly chatty. In my experience, what felt like neutrality was really just patience before conversation blooms. I step into a Zurich tram and try to make eye contact with an elderly man for direction.
"Does this go to the railway station?" I ask. He glances up briefly, says, "No, change at the next stop," and continues reading his newspaper. I thank him profusely. He grunts softly and goes back to his paper. I stand awkwardly for a moment, thinking, what did I do wrong? No, I realize, Swiss people often just get to the point. My American brain wanted a full, friendly convo, but here even politeness can be efficient. I adjust my approach. Later, when a Swiss friend reminds me about punctuality and brevity, I get it. In my experience, blunt answers were just his neutral helpfulness, not rudeness. I'm in Budapest, hurrying to meet a friend at a cafe. I flag down a streetcar conductor and ask where the next tram goes. She jots down "Váci út" on a ticket, nods, and moves on. No "here you go" verbal flourish, just factual action. I stuff the ticket in my pocket and step on. We stand close enough to chat. I try to talk about the weather. The conductor stares ahead, biting her lip. I clear my throat awkwardly. Finally, she says "hot," and then chuckles a bit. I laugh too, and we stand in quiet solidarity. I learn the next stop and punchline. Don't expect lengthy chats with Hungarian transit staff. A brief answer is perfectly polite there. In my experience, short replies were her friendly shield, not icy shoulder.
I'm shopping in Reykjavik grocery early on a Saturday. A woman in front of me has a whole basket, chatting up the checker. The checker, with a friendly grin, answers clearly. When it's my turn, I say "tuck, thanks," after he beeps the last item. He simply smiles and waves me on, offering no small talk. Did I expect too much? In the US, cashiers often joke or ask about my day. In Iceland, apparently they consider that polite service is enough. Outside, the sun shining long overhead, I realise it's kind of nice. No pressure to talk, just efficient kindness. In my experience, Icelandic workers treat neutrality as friendly calm, not coldness.
I'm in Prague at sunset, walking down Charles Bridge. I approach a statue and say, "Wow, this is beautiful." A tourist ahead of me also whispers his awe. We exchange smiles. I turn and ask, "Isn't it amazing?" The Czech man nods slightly. He speaks softly in his native tongue when I try a little Czech. I don't catch all. I apologize and comment on the medieval look. He simply says, "Ano," yes, and keeps walking. So short. Was he upset? In my experience, Czechs are reserved around foreigners. A guide explains later. They may seem silent, but appreciate your effort. I smile to myself. It wasn't annoyance, just a quiet agreement with one word.
I'm working at a multinational company in Brussels and attend a staff lunch. I make a joke about bureaucracy. A Belgian colleague, in a neutral tone, replies, "Yes, but it's efficient." No grin. I laugh alone. They continue about their day calmly. In the US, I might expect laughter, at least. Here, their delivery is deadpan by nature. I raise an eyebrow, they shrug. By dessert, I realise that Belgians can be wry without theatrics. Their calm humour just flew over my head at first. In my experience, neutral faces often mean they're smiling inside. The room feels warm once I relax into that understanding. I'm in Stockholm at a bike shop, choosing a helmet. The store assistant weighs 2 models and shrugs. She asks, "What do you think?" I stutter through some features. She blinks at me, taps the helmet and says, "This," matter-of-factly. I raise an eyebrow. I was hoping for a bit more conversation about colour or style. In America, one might expect enthusiastic advice. She looks at me calmly. I realised she's simply trusted me to decide. I smile and nod, relieved to end the ordeal. In my experience, her neutrality was a hands-off kindness, giving me space to choose, not judging.
I step into a busy Warsaw taxi and tell the driver my address. He glances at the paper address and says, "Got it." Then he drives in silence. I fire up the seat heater and ask, "Ci to daleko?" Is it far? He shrugs his shoulders and gives a brief answer in Polish. I awkwardly laugh and switch to English. He replies in English, just not far. My mind races. Did he not think me polite? But after a quiet ride, I realize it. Some Poles just don't talk much with drivers. After paying, I thank him with a big smile. He nods and quietly says good night. In my experience, the neutral ride was practical. I think maybe he was just a man of few words, not upset at all.
I'm attending a quiet cafe gig in Berlin. The performer is on stage, singing softly. I whisper comments to my friend. Suddenly, an older German man asks us to please be quiet. I jump. Silence falls on me too. Everyone stares for a moment. I feel mortified. Sheesh, we Americans are chatty. I whisper an apology. The man gives a small nod and turns away. Later, my friend tells me Germans value silence during performances. Any chatter is considered rude. Lesson learned. The neutrality of showing silence was actually respect for the music. After that, I sip quietly and let the tunes wash over me. Thankful they didn't shout.
I'm in Bologna, grabbing lunch, when I accidentally step into a narrow pedestrian lane just as a black car starts to reverse out. I panic, but the driver calmly honks once and backs out. I jump aside, heart pounding, say sorry. He gives me a nod and drives off. I think, wow, he's cool under pressure. In America, we'd honk and yell a bit. Here, his quiet beep and nod felt nearly polite, not angry. My walking speed returns. It hits me, Italian drivers can be neutral about these things too, handling it with minimal fuss. I relax, chuckling to myself that I had survived the encounter. In my experience, that neutral beep was more helpful than hostile honks.
I'm in an Irish pub and the local band starts. I enthusiastically cheer, but the regulars at a nearby table just raise a glass calmly. They don't join in. I tap on the table to show support. They look over, smiles only in their eyes. I feel shy now. Should I tone it down? A friendly Irish voice beside me says, "We like hearing your cheers. Don't be shy." I grin back. Turns out the locals respect each other's space but enjoy when visitors get into the spirit. In my experience, their neutral claps weren't disapproval, just their laid-back vibe. I keep cheering. Soon they're clapping along with me. I'm in a Stuttgart library, books stacked around me. I sneeze loudly. Every head turns, but they just silently shrug and return to reading. In the US, somebody usually says, "Bless you." I felt a bit self-conscious. I quietly say it myself, hoping to not break the quiet. A librarian whispers, "They knew." Ah, people here know the rule but don't comment. Interesting. My friend tells me Germans often say Gesundheit just to oneself. The silence after the sneeze felt a touch awkward to me, but maybe not to them. In my experience, it meant respect for silence, not forgetting manners.
I'm on a French train and exchange seats with someone who only says oui when I ask if I can sit. Throughout the trip, she reads silently. I try to comment on the scenery. She answers in low voice, barely making eye contact. My American side wonders, is she annoyed at having a chatty seat neighbor? Eventually, I just thank her in French and lean back to enjoy the view myself. Later, I learned that many French people are just reserved with acquaintances, saving energy for friends and family. The next time, I whisper quietly or just enjoy my book. In my experience, her quiet company was simply the French travel norm.
I'm standing at a pedestrian light in Reykjavik when a cyclist greets me with a loud "Gon daginn!" I return the greeting, but he just nods and pedals on. I try a joke about Icelandic rain. He glances at the sky, shrugs, and rides off. I feel a bit foolish. Was I too forward? Turns out Icelanders are friendly, but not always chatty with strangers they don't know. A friend later explains, a quick hello, then back to their day. The cyclist hadn't offended me. He was just going about his business. In my experience, that quiet thanks in return was all I needed. No coldness, just friendly efficiency.
I'm in a Copenhagen pharmacy buying cold medicine. I quiz the pharmacist about which syrup is best. She listens politely, then says, "This one." End of story. No detailed explanation, no sales pitch. I say thanks. She just says, "Vel bekomme," "You're welcome," and turns to help the next customer. I gulp. Was that the whole consultation? My American memory expected a bit more reassurance or chat. In Denmark, apparently, straightforward info is the norm. I leave relieved and relieved that I didn't have to make small talk. In my experience, their neutral answers were the professional default. Just answer, not entertain.
I'm at an open-air Swedish football match wrapped in a scarf. I high-five the person next to me in a scoring moment, cheering. She nods and smiles a tiny bit, then falls silent again. I feel a pang. Maybe she didn't enjoy it? But later, a local yells from a distance, "She's finished, of course she's quiet." Everyone laughs. I laugh too, blushing. So in Scandinavia, a stoic face is common, not always friendly fire. I realize her mild reaction was just her personal style. In my experience, sometimes I needed to bring the energy, but sometimes I was just cheering for both of us anyway.
I'm in a German hospital waiting room, reading a magazine. The nurse calls my name and walks me through the procedure calmly, not once smiling. When I finally say thanks, she gives the polite "good luck" and goes on to the next patient. Everything was efficient and professional. In American hospitals, I might get a few more reassuring words. Here, it felt impersonal, but not mean. In my experience, German healthcare is courteous but neutral. It took me a moment to not feel dismissed by the plain "good luck." Now, I appreciate the focus was on getting me taken care of quickly. After all, being rushed over small talk sometimes feels nice.
I'm visiting friends in Belgium and get invited to a morning meeting of their fam club. There's no coffee machine, everyone silently mugs on cold brew they brought. We spend 30 minutes clipping corner notes into binders. I tried to bring conversation. This lineup looks fun. One person just squeaks, "Yes, very fun," and flips a page. I keep talking, they keep working. Oops. After the meeting, someone pats my back and says, "Thanks for helping." I grin. Perhaps I should have known. Belgians can focus quietly on tasks, treating talk as background noise. I learned that a nod and smile was thanks enough. In my experience, their silence was just attention, not indifference. I'm in a Lyon park reading, and a little kid keeps looking up from the play area. Curious, I wave, but the child just looks and smiles shyly before returning to swinging. I feel a little snubbed. I frown, then remember French kids are taught to be reserved with strangers. Just then, the mother thanks me in passing for not distracting him. Oops, I hadn't realized giving him space was polite. I breathe easier and wave again as she passes, this time with a smile and a quick merci. In my experience, giving them room was just respect for privacy, not meanness.
I'm in Prague ordering a pastry and the sign says "no queue cutting." I instinctively step in front of someone who's still picking money. The patron glares and says quietly in Czech something I don't catch. Embarrassed, I back up. I read the sign again. In America, jumping in line is common. Here, not at all. I apologize to the group when I get up. A kind woman explains I was clutching the air like I owned it. I grin. My mistake. She laughs. Lesson learned. European neutrality about lines means they're serious about order. In my experience, it taught me patience and that a sign might just be worth obeying.
I'm at a Turkish diner in Brussels, multicultural. I greet my friends in English at the door with a kiss on the cheek. The owner smiles but raises an eyebrow. Why English? Belgium is here. I say I'm American. She replies flatly, "Okay." My heart sinks a bit. I thought we'd chat. Over dinner, she barely speaks, just serving our plates. It hits me. Sometimes honesty can come off as blunt in a different culture. The next day, I apologize. She laughs and explains she was impressed I'd tried the local tongue. I feel better. In my experience, what seemed curt was just her straightforwardness. We smile with coffee.
I'm attending a business meeting in Dublin early Monday. The Irish colleague leads in politely, giving a very neutral overview without jokes. In the US, I expect at least a loose anecdote to lighten the mood. In Ireland, even my Irish co-workers remain calm and precise in a formal meeting. I stifle a chuckle but sit quietly. Was there a memo I missed? They proceed seriously. Halfway through, someone cracks a grin at one of my jokes. Finally, the mood loosens. I learn that sometimes the Irish start formal and slowly go warm. In my experience, calm professionalism can turn cozy given time.
I'm in a French grocery store looking for olive oil. I ask an elderly shopper in a sweater for help. Excusez-moi, I start. She eyeballs me silently. I try again in Spanish. She flicks her head to aisle 3. That's it. I say merci profusely. She disappears into the noodles. Did I offend her language skills? A clerk nearby explains, many French don't feel comfortable talking other languages, so they might just point. In my experience, it wasn't rudeness that she didn't continue, it was just all she could manage. I whisper a grateful thank you, step down the aisle, and feel silly for my assumptions.
I'm at a hostel check-in in Vienna at 2 a.m. The night clerk barely looks at the computer. I say good morning and hand over my passport. He gently says, place your finger here, scanning me quietly. I say, is it all good? He nods, blurts, enjoy your stay, and immediately turns back, no smile. I watch him stifle a yawn. I wonder, should I add a friendly pat on the back? Then I remember, it's late and he's just doing his job. I smile back and turn toward my room. In my experience, after a long shift, neutrality is a courtesy. He treated me with professional calm, not confusion.